Hey, Marcus Washington, MTC Media here. Want to talk a little bit about Georgetown losing to Brazil 77-73. This is one of these things where I wish I could have seen every game and not just the two games. And of course, the two games that was broadcast on ESPN Plus, of course, they would have to be two losses. But just some of the things I took away from the 77-73 loss. Malik Mack, it was the one game where he did shoot the ball relatively well. He had 19 points. Sean Harris-Smith had 17. A lot of bully ball from his perspective. There are going to be things I'm not going to complain about, like because it's August. Some of the turnovers that some in the extended scoring droughts. I know Cooley spoke about the extended scoring drought in this past game and in the Canadian loss. Those are things I think can fix itself with two things. One, playing together, and two, having everyone. Obviously they didn't have Langston Love, they didn't have KJ Lewis, they didn't have Kayvon Mulready. So there are some bodies and some minutes, and two of the three you're getting scoring. So that does make a difference. Let's not ignore totally that they weren't there. So I'm not tripping on the turnovers, and yes, if I was coaching that team, these scoring droughts would bother me. Would I be throwing my hands up the air in August about the scoring droughts? Probably not. Now, that's not to say if this carries over that I wouldn't. Just right now, I wouldn't, because my concentration would be on why were they scoring droughts? Is it because we don't have enough scoring? Is it because the combinations that I had out there? It wasn't because everyone wasn't available. Is it a combination of those three? Is it all of the above? There's a lot of things that film will tell the coaching staff that they'll figure out down the line. Just keep in mind, they don't have to figure it out today. I know fans want them to figure it out today. They don't have to figure it out today. Now, just some of the things that kind of bothered me, or I did like. One of the things was the three-point defense. Obviously, that is the great equalizer, not only in the NBA, but it's a great equalizer in college basketball. And you have to defend it well. Sometimes giving up a two is better than giving up a wide open three, depending on who you're playing and time and circumstance. But you don't want to get in the habit of giving up 14 threes a game, and, especially in college basketball. And obviously that was a concern of Ed Cooley because he spoke about it.
But overall, I'm proud of our men. I'm proud of our fight. And when you look at the common denominator of the two losses, Canada and Brazil, it was our lack of execution from the free throw line and our inability to guard the 3-point. 14 threes. 14 threes. I mean, game, set, match. 14 to our 8. That's plus 18 on the glass.
14 threes, 48% from the three-point line. What did you see from your three-point defense that you'd like to fix?
Just attention to detail. And again, give them credit. They made some tough ones, but attention to detail, recognizing when we should switch, when we shouldn't switch, recovering on it. Give them credit. They moved the ball really well and they played well.
The other question I had is, who's going to be the primary ball handler when you have those stretches where you want to play Malik Mack off the ball? Because what's going to happen is teams are going to try to attack guards. They're going to try to attack Malik Mack and wear him down. If you play him off the ball, they're going to try to play him physical. And whomever the ball handler is, whether it's Harris Smith, whether it is Jeremiah Williams, whether it's KJ Lewis, they're going to try to get up under him, especially when it's Harris Smith. They're going to test if he can be a primary ball handler and not just someone who simply can take the ball up the floor. There is a big difference between the two. There are a lot of secondary ball handlers who can take the ball up the floor. That doesn't make you a primary ball handler. And teams are going to test that. It will get tested early on, and it'll certainly get tested in conference play. So that's one of those things. Who is that person that when you want to play Mac off the ball and you want to run some stuff for him, not only to get him the ball and stuff, but also to open the floor. Teams on staggers and pin downs, they are going to be occupied with that action. Well, if you're KJ Lewis, a guy who can be athletic, that can open up a driving lane. And then now, if you're one of the bigs in the game then that could be either finish, offensive rebound dunk, or it could be a dump down opposite box or lob because they like to throw it the lob to Iwachuku. So it could be those things. It just opens up stuff for the offense. Um, One of the other things that I observed was just inside, the posting up. So let's keep this in mind. There is only a sliver of the playbook put in. That's the other reason why the whole thing with the scoring drops. It's only a slither of the playbook put in. This is not Patrick Ewing where, he would say that he had his entire playbook in, I think, by August, never adjusted it, even when teams had already seen him once. It's neither here nor there. I'm not going to complain about that, but I want to complain about that. Anyway, we know that in this situation, that's not the case. But I would have liked to have seen, Iwachuku and Big Julius. I would like to have seen them post more with their back to the basket, especially against a smaller team. I mean, and Brazil was a smaller team, and just kind of go through people's chests. It can't be all the time. You're going to have be able to make moves. One of the things I would like to see Iwachuku do more is when he does get the ball in there to go to that little half hook he has. Or, again, fake, step through, finish. Those little things that are these like quick moves, athletic moves that he can do because he's quick, athletic, and long. So there are some things there that I would have liked to have seen more of. Circumstances, sometimes you don't get to see them. And look, and I would say this, and I'll be very candid about this. Thomas Sorber is probably not going to be as easy to replace as some people think. I don't care who was brought here this year. I don't think people realize how much that young man contributed. Now, you can offset that contribution in different ways with different skill sets and all of that. So you can try to make up for it. And same thing with Michael Peever. You can try to make up for it in different ways and stuff. But people who just think you go to the portal and it's plug and play on two guys who were drafted in the NBA, that's not it. I mean, you might say it is at Duke, but that's not it, guys. Let's not lose appreciation for what they did in the 1 year they were at Georgetown, because we think everything is, instant grits that you just put them in the pan in some water and you get the greatest grits in life. It's a lot more that goes to it to make some great grits. So, and it's the same thing here with those two. And last but not least, a real appreciation for Isaiah Abraham, who essentially did not play all of last year at UConn, was really a finisher, energy guy at PVI, and he did show a little bit on making that wing three, in particular the wing three. He seems comfortable, he seems confident with it, and that's something that is going to be important to Georgetown. Georgetown, when it comes to the three-point shooting, is going to be sum of all parts. Yes, you're going to have Caleb Williams and Langston Love. They're both good catch and shoot threes. Caleb had wide open great looks the other night. He had a rough shooting night. That's fine. That's fine. It's August. And Langston Love, you can run actions for both of them. You can get them over. They're really good catch and shoots, but people are going to scheme for that. So then it becomes, what's the other guys who can hit them? Well, obviously people are going to have their eyes on Mac. We talked about that earlier. But if you can get threes from Abraham, the occasional three from Harris Smith, from Jeremiah Williams, now you're talking about, instead of making 6 threes in a game, now you're up to 9 threes or 10 threes in a game. Now this team looks awful different now, doesn't it? Really, really different. So Isaiah Abraham gaining some confidence in shooting that. For those who don't know, before he was at PVI, he was a real good player at Highland School in Warrenton, Virginia. His offense probably was a lot more varied and diverse there before he went to PVI, and that's also important. So I think a lot of it is reconnecting with that version of Isaiah Abraham, and for all Hoyas fans, they hope that he will. So obviously, this is August, so kids are going to be moving in. Kids are going to be getting used to the classes. I probably shouldn't refer to them as kids. I should probably refer to them as players. They're going to do that. So I don't know when's the next time I'll be at a practice. Once fall workouts come, hopefully I will have time and get there so I can get you more of the inside coverage, and that's when more of the stuff is going to be put in. That's when things are going to ramp up and things are going to get a little bit more serious and not as understanding of mistakes across this country. So I really felt like Georgetown showed what they needed to show. I really felt like you learned something about them. The coaching staff learned something about this team. It would have been great if they fully healthy, because then you can start really dibble dabble into combinations, and unfortunately they weren't able to do that with two I guess you can say projected starters that weren't there as far as available. They were there physically, but they weren't available to play. So that's my wrap up. Always stay with me for Georgetown coverage and other college basketball. My latest article looks at the freshmen up at Notre Dame, so check that out if you are a VIP subscriber. This is Marcus Washington, MTC Media.